to sharing it, to processing it, to and to finally disposing of it, as JP mentioned, which is so important. Visibility and transparency, keep it open, and respect for user privacy, keep it user centric. And I think when you're in privacy, you can work well with your CDO, because you should both have the same goal of monetizing privacy within the privacy regulations, and within the level of trust, as I like to say, that you want to have with your customers. I threw this in from Big Idea. I thought it was a pretty interesting slide. I'll just leave it at that. And pretty much at the end of time, I'm going to say thank you. I'll send this to JP, and you can look at the other slides here, have this, and look at that Equifax debacle when they were in front of Congress one time. Any other questions or thoughts? And thank you so much. I think this has been a lot of fun, and I've learned. And Tiffany, I'll be getting back with you through Capgemini email. Thanks, everyone.
I just wanted to say thank you for this overview. It's fantastic. You brought out a number of points that I hadn't seen in quite some time, and it's really good for us practitioners just to be reminded of some of these things. And I think the input from, the group and JP has just been spot on to really highlight certain areas that we really need to be paying more attention to. So thanks to everyone. Really fantastic session.
Thank you. I truly enjoyed it. So I think you guys have another hour to go, as I understand it. And I'm going to try to figure out how to maximize my screen again so I can leave and let you guys speak in peace. Any other final questions or thoughts?
Hey, Ari, thank you. And you talked about the Privacy Shield, the news. Is it are we going to revive that, or based on what we learned?
I'm sorry, you said something about privacy and NIST. Is that what I heard?
The Privacy Shield, the news that you talked about in the beginning?
Yes.
Yeah. So is it the news is about reviving that? Because I could not get that when I was reading the news article.
And that's because they didn't tell you what's going to happen. They just said that basically there's as I understand it, it's basically just a commitment that is strong enough that they can share, that say, hey, we're going to be working toward this, and we're going to take the relief off of you, from having to do other controls, or we'll provide what controls you need to do. But we saw no details. So yeah. I don't know for now if you have to continue under SHRMS 2, which is standard contractual clauses, transfer impact assessments, and so forth, or exactly what. It's a great question, and hopefully we're going to see what the answer is fairly soon.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's like if you're familiar with McDonald's, the McRib is back.
Say that one more time.
If you're familiar with McDonald's, it's like hearing their ad campaign that says the McRib is back. They don't tell you they're going to change it, but you know it's coming. You know it's coming back.
I love it. I love it. Exactly.
I have another question too, because in my estimation, and correct me if I'm wrong, I always thought that Safe Harbor was the precursors to GDPR.
No, actually, if you look at the timeline, so hold it. Let me step back a second. What do you mean by that? By Safe Harbor?
Okay, so the Safe Harbor program came in to play during the 2012 Olympics and prior to the 2012 Olympics, because their goal was to be able to safeguard credit card information, because you had people coming from all over the world and they were coming to London for the Olympics. So they wanted to make sure that they, one, could identify people and throw that data in the database, take money and throw that data in the database, and protect all of those assets that they were now kind of forced to capture.
Right. So the EU directive came into play in 1995.
Okay.
That is the precursor to GDPR. As a part of that, it was, I understood that Safe Harbor came into play for part of that before you were talking about the specific purpose it had then, but some safe harbor rules came into play because we do not have an adequacy decision for the United States. We do not have a law, of federal privacy law, even though many CEOs have requested it. We still don't have it that protects everybody. Does that help a little bit? That's my understanding, JP.
Yes, yes, and it kind of it seemed like they kind of played loose and fast with what safe harbor was actually for. So it was like it seemed like safe harbor was a coverall, and then as they migrated to GDPR, they started kind of changing what safe harbor actually meant.
I wouldn't be surprised by that. And the FTC was prior to when safe harbor was back in play, the FTC was charged with auditing that and making sure that the companies that said they were going to provide certain controls over that did. And there's one company that I'm aware of that was that had a decree against it. They were sanctioned because they weren't adding up to those laws, which is not exactly what you were saying, but yeah, I think there was some change in there. Yes, absolutely. Okay, is it time for me to leave quietly and nicely and let you guys go have fun?
Well, we're having fun. Is there any other information you'd like to give anyone before you make your quick dash?
One last thank you. Appreciate it. Opened my eyes to a lot of privacy things that I didn't know, especially with regards to career opportunities. So thank you for that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think it is going to, in the next few years, be a huge area. And I also see some working together. I don't see it now, but it should be coming soon, of the CPO working together with the CDO, the Chief Data Officer. And it's going to be fascinating to see how that turns out. And of course, each company is going to, do something different there. And we'll just wait and see how it goes.
In terms of the chief data officer and the chief privacy officer, what is the smallest size organization you've seen where those titles are applicable?
That's a good question. I'm not sure I've got a good answer for that. Well, I think even some startups are looking at it. They may not have a chief privacy officer, but they're going to have somebody that is, some of them, believe it or not, are going to, for example, there's one called Canoe that I understand is looking for a privacy person. And they're a startup in the electric vehicle arena. And so I'd say it probably depends if you meet the minimum threshold for CPRA or whichever one of the state acts. Does that make sense? And it's a great question. I'm trying to think about how best to answer it. And I think that's right.
Hey, Harvey, I could add there, in the healthcare industry, irrespective of the size, most of the customers are asking for a CPU. So it's irrespective of the size you're dealing with PHI, they're asking for chief privacy officer. The customers are asking, even if the companies are not geared, the customers are demanding.
I think that's a good point. And specifically with if you're under HIPAA, you are going to have a privacy officer, a security officer, but you're also going to have a privacy officer. But I think you're right. And I think we're also seeing it now where people are wanting more privacy. They're wanting it much more now than they did 2 years ago. You can just see it in the way they're not turning toward Facebook, they're leaving that and so forth. And I'm not just singling out Facebook in this, I'm really not. But yeah, I think that's making a real difference. I think that's an excellent point. Thank you. Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate it. And anyone who wants to reach out, JP knows how to find me. Thank you all very
much, Harvey.
Okay. God bless you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, good folks. let us continue with our chapter meeting, and let me take over this real quick and throw this piece up for everybody. Everyone that's on, and I can tell you, Kelly, Leon, Luke, Mark, I already have your ISC square numbers. Anyone else that's certified online and I don't have your ISC square number, please throw it in the chat while I get my little portion of the presentation going, because we actually got stuff for you. And Leon, I just sent you what I need you to go on and present to the group. Is Leon still on?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, so you got the PDF I just sent you? Oh, I got yours, Pete. Ah, Michael, yours I do not have. Dude, you got a lot of numbers in your number. Either that means I'm getting old or more people are getting certified, or a combination of both.
You just got yours way ahead of me. That's all.
Yeah. Wait a minute. I just saw it and then it disappeared. Okay, hold on. Let me open up a chat window. Hey, you know what, Leon? Go ahead and present that while I'm capturing these numbers, because I'm doing two things at once. I'm making sure everybody gets credit for being here.
Yeah, I don't have anything, JP.
I just emailed it to you. Because we're going through what grinds my gears, folks. And if you pay attention to anything on LinkedIn, what grinds my gears is how I describe things in cybersecurity that piss me off, because that means somebody got breached, and if it didn't make it to mainstream media, no one is going to pay attention to it. So what I try to capture is a bunch of different news articles or things that are coming out through sectors of folks that no one really expects to get any IT information from. So there's a couple of
Hey, JP.
Yes.
Send it to, do me a favor, send it to Tiffany, because it still hasn't come through.
Hold on.
I mean, if Tiffany doesn't mind sharing it, that is. Sorry to put you on the spot, Tiffany.
Well, she's going to be leaving shortly if she's still on.
Okay.
Hello, JP.
Wait a minute, say it again.
Yeah, I want to say something. I don't have the ISC score number.
I know. You don't have to worry about it.
Okay.
Everybody is welcome here. It's just the idea. The people that have ISC square numbers, I need to make sure that they get their CPE credits, because we automatically put it in for them so they can get credit for being here and being bored to death for 2 hours.
So can I have the credits as well or not?
No, you won't be able. The credits don't do anything for you. The credits are basically when you have a certification.
I got. Okay.
Yeah, you have to maintain at least 40 per year.
I got. Thank you.
No problem. Luke, I'm going to forward this to you also. And if you would like to, you can actually do the presentation. It should be fairly quick.
My hands are full. Let me jump upstairs real quick.
Okay.
1 second.
All right. So while he's getting ready, I see the numbers in the actual. Oh, come on, Zoom. People can you still hear me?
Yes.
No, I can't hear you, JP.
Okay, just like Zoom truly does, I'm struggling to get this thing working.
What do you need, JP? What's going on?
I have the blue screen to death, but apparently you can still hear me. Okay, It came back. So let me share this. I might as well just go ahead and continue on. Oh, shoot. So I have to share screen, huh? All righty. That's fine. All righty. Let me move this out of the way so you guys don't have to see all of that. Can everyone see the screen?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
All righty. Here's our first event coming up. I believe was that next Wednesday. I wanted to put it on screen so you can actually see who to contact. And I do believe this is C. Giorgio at infogardnational.org. I have no further details whether this is online or whatever they have set up. I don't know. I'm hoping it's online because it's talking about a briefcase study. So what I like to do on items such as this, I usually try to get it running on my iPad because that's about the only thing I find useful with using the iPad. I'll get these presentations running on the iPad, and then I continue to do my work and then give attention when it's necessary. This one I thought was interesting.
And JP, I've got the link for registration for that particular one. I am copying and pasting that.
Yeah, I had the link too
right now,
but because I was in my InfoGuard account on it, I didn't want them to. I didn't check the link to see if it actually would go from a non-InfoGuard section. Mm-hmm. So I didn't want it to go to my actual account and try to give them that.
Yeah, oh, here's the correct one. Sorry. There. It's straight.
Is the membership open? Do you know? Are they doing taking memberships for InfoGuard?
Yeah, it just takes them probably about 6 to 8 months before they get back to you.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it does take a long time. That now they've caught up a lot. There was a big slowdown because of COVID, and
it was slow before COVID.
It was slow before, but there was a huge backlog. It got up to like 6 or 8 months, and now it's back down to the normal 2 to 3 months.
Okay, that's good.
Now there's on that particular one, the InfoGuard webinar, there is a charge for it. Even for InfoGuard members, it's $29, and for everybody else, it's $39.
Okay, while you're pulling that out of the chat, if you want to go through it, I may mention that there is the InfoGuard chapter meeting for folks that are behind on credits, and everybody that gave me their number, let me know where you're at in terms of credits right now. Ron, where you at for credits for this year? And when is your cycle begin and end?
I don't know what my cycle is. Give me 1 second. I have them jotted down.
While he's getting that prepared, Krishna.
This is Ron. I think I have 61. 1 or 2 of them may be pending because they haven't been processed yet.
Okay.
Give or take, but yeah. And I believe I'm about halfway through my 3-year cycle.
Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad. You won't be struggling to play the vicious game of catch up. Let me say, Michael, where are you at?
I just started a new cycle in December, and I think after today, assuming I get 2 CPEs, that'll put me somewhere around 20. Okay. So I think I'm in pretty good shape.
Good, because what I'm more concerned with is making sure everybody at least has 40 or is on target to get 40 for the end of this year. Because I don't know what's going to happen in terms of a lot of the events. And if I'm not mistaken, someone may mention that one of the events last year, they actually said you had to be you had to have had your COVID vaccinations in order to attend the event. So I think that's going to be an event by event type thing.
Yeah, I think that's accurate, sir.
Anyone else? Anyone that's under 40 and looks like they're going to be missing out before the end of the year? Because if you understand how we have things set up in the chapter now, you have 24 credits that'll come from our meetings on Friday, and 24 credits that'll come out of our Saturday meetings if you can attend. They're usually, what's the time frame, Tiffany? Is 11 to 1, correct?
Yes. 11 to 1.
And correct me if I'm wrong, the credits that come from attending meetings, those are Group A credits?
If the topic is under Group A, yes, it is. So for today's topic, it'll be a Group A because it's privacy, which would be considered part of risk management.
Okay.
But everybody that has the ISC square number, don't worry about it. That gets put in automatically through the chapter. The ones tomorrow, if you're going to attend tomorrow, that's your responsibility to put in.
Thank you for making that distinction. And thank you for being proactive on that. I appreciate it.
No problem, because I know it's a pain in the butt sometimes to go through and do those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally appreciate that too, JP. Thank you, sir.
No problem, no problem. Anybody that's planning on taking the exam, if you look into LinkedIn, I put a link out there. One of our partners, FR Secure, they're offering free CISSP classes for folks to sit in and basically learn the things necessary to pass the exam. Tiffany, Luke, and Leon, you all should have the actual presentation coming in your email.
Okay, I'll check.
Which email? The IC2?
Yep.
All right, give me a second.
Luke, if you got it first, you go on and present. Now, what this portion is, like I said before, is what grinds my gears. I know everyone is tired of hearing my voice because I had a lot of questions earlier. So I'm going to give you a break from that and have one of our other chapter members go on and talk about some other fun things that have occurred over the last few weeks in terms of breaches. One of them, actually, I think I sent a message out earlier this week on that. While they're getting that part going, let me go through a couple of others that I've sent out. So
I don't think it likes my credentials anymore.
You got to be kidding me.
Nope, I'm in. I broke it. I'm in. It's a purple arrow.
It should be what is, I think the name is Cyber Alert or something like that.
Cyber Shield, the purple.
Yep.
All right, let me do the dance here.
And while you're getting that ready, you heard me talk earlier about the Okta event.
Yeah.
Well, basically, Okta came and said, hey, we were breached. A couple of days later, they gave a little bit more detail on the breach. Then they actually said, yeah, all of our client data has been exposed. So what I'm wondering is, when are they going to make another notification on how far their exposure was, how long had they been exposed? Because seeing that they're one of the big security vendors out there, I feel like there needs to be an explanation of what exactly occurred, and do they use their own product within their own borders? Questions, comments?
Hey, JP, stop sharing so I can jump on.
Do it, man.
JP, I've worked for a bunch of vendors, and not a single one of, and some of them really big ones, big names, and not a single one of them has ever used their own products and had good security within their own organization.
Wow.
Not a single one that I've worked for.
Oh.
That's not good.
Well, I've had the opposite.
That's interesting.
Oh no, I take that back. I take that back. If you go back far enough, when I worked for Sophos, like 15 years ago, they were excellent on security. I mean, top notch, best company I've ever worked for when it comes to security. But that was 15 years ago too.
Well, I mean, I assume I know Palo Alto and Checkpoint use their own products, and it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah,
All right, I think we are ready.
I worked for at least one company who quote unquote eats their own dog food, and they use their products in their environment and didn't have any issues.
Yeah, I guess it depends, because with the whole FireEye stuff that happened now, Mandiant last year, it's like, okay, guys, I don't know.
And if you really want to split hairs, it could be that some of these organizations, or this one, they use their own product, but nothing happened. They just weren't targeted at that time. So, it's easy to say something's good and something's secure when it's never tested.
And it looks like with the Okta thing, it said that they recruited employees for their access and paid them.
Oh, you mean
that.
was it the insider threat?
Yeah. So yeah, Tiffany. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, go ahead.
No, I have a tendency to do that to you, and I'm sorry.
It's okay,
no, you're right. It was them and Microsoft also, right? So Lapsus actually got into Microsoft as well and leaked like 37 gig of projects, upcoming projects, and projects that have already happened, like source code for like Azure and stuff like that. And so yeah, it was the same way with them as it was with Okta, where they actually, like you said, they were paying employees for their username and password, right? Or in certain cases, they just literally called up the help desk and was like, "Hey, I'm so and so. I'm Satya Nadella, right?
Yeah.
I'm the CEO of Microsoft. I need my password reset. You need to do it now." And they said, "Okay, here's your new password." And then they were like, "Oh, hey, I forgot my username. What's my username?" And then they would tell them their username also. So
do you think these were like,
wow,
a lot of these companies employ contractors, I mean, from all over the place, and we know they don't pay them very well necessarily, and they're having issues all over. Is it, I don't know, were these internal employees or the internal
MSPs
that a lot of companies are using now instead of they're actually hiring people?
yeah, right. So that's the question. I think Okta was actually a contractor or whatever, right? That had access to the Okta network, and that's I think Lapsus called them up or whatever, and offered to pay them for their access. I think it was the same with Microsoft also, but there's differing stories depending on where you look, right? So but yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, a lot of these companies are using MSSPs, they're using contractors, whatever, right? And so they may or may not know the internal policy of the company that they're doing work for, right? And so yeah, you're absolutely correct. It's easy target.
Well, we're talking about compensation. We know when we have all these outsourced, call centers, help desk, MSPs, we know they're not paying them very much. And if you're going to pay me to do it and this job really isn't going to cut it long term, yeah, it makes sense. I guess this has to do with how we treat employees anyway across the board.
Yeah, absolutely, right. So I can tell you right now that I know for a fact, because I've seen the bill rates, right?
Mm-hmm.
That I know for a fact that somebody in Costa Rica, right, that has a CISSP and a CISM and name a cert, right, their bill rate is like something like $7 an hour.
Yes,
right.
It's insane how little people are being paid.
Yeah, and so you take that $7 an hour, right? That's the bill rate for the company. So what is that employee making? They're making like $1 something an hour, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous.
That's an interesting call out, and it reminds me of something that we touched on during the last meeting, that no matter how sophisticated your technology is, or your systems, or your networks, and how everything's built up, one of the weakest parts of an environment is going to be the human behind the keyboard. And whether that's because that human is not compensated properly, or because they don't know any better, or because they are a legitimate malicious insider threat, like, it doesn't matter what you have in place. All it takes is the human element to just bring the whole thing crashing down, or just open the floodgates. And it never ceases to amaze me how often we get to sing this song.
Yeah, it's like a combination of that and what JP they were saying earlier, just about the basic network architecture that we have. If we had those segmentation gates in place, a lot of this could kind of be stopped, but that takes a lot of work to go back in and classify your data and decide where stuff is and who needs access to it. Yeah.
I agree. I was actually wondering what's the solution to that? I know that's a huge Gordian knot, as it were, but
Zero
it's like,
trust.
even don't say that, JP. Hold on. Don't hurt nobody. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, even JP, feel free to let me know what your thoughts are, because I was like, well, if you've clearly identified a huge issue, right? Going back and doing this all, or re-architecturing an enterprise environment, that's not a trivial matter. So are you really talking about maybe building one in parallel and then migrating over to it? Or are you talking about like just pull the plug on the whole thing? Like, what would be your blueprint on how to accomplish that?
Well, you can't pull the plug on the whole thing, because first of all, you got a business to run. And whether most organizations believe it or not, your job is dependent on how well that organization is up and running and functioning, because that is the business. Now, most businesses like to believe that there's no IT. Oh, we're not an IT organization. Yes, but everything you run comes through IT. So it's two things that I'm a proponent of and always been a proponent of. One, chargeback policies, because you need to let marketing know how much it actually costs to keep them up and running and doing their functions. So when they get their nice little couple of $1 million check, part of that needs to be going to IT to keep them up and running, and to keep Margaret that's in marketing from opening up stupid emails that she shouldn't be opening up. Same thing with accounting, finance, and even the executive teams.
Hey, JP, even the security team, because I know people who reuse passwords and do dumb stuff that everybody else does, and we're supposed to know better.
That's true too, and that's going to jump me on my next hot topic. Okay, stop doing awareness training once a year and think that these folks are going to get something out of it. Do it 2 to 3 times a year, so it's fresh in their heads. Oh, you know what? Maybe I don't want to click on this email, because I've noticed the times that serious events have been stopped always seem to coincide with October, November, and sometimes December. People took that extra second to say, you know what? I don't know if this is real or not. Let me not click on it. And it's that extra second that may prevent your organization from being on the front page of MSN News or whatever you get your news from. Even worse, Facebook or whatever other social media pathway you get your muse from. Next, you are right. You'd have to build that second network in parallel. And the nice part about doing virtualization is you don't need the resources that you would have had 25, 30 years ago in order to get that accomplished. So you can build your dream network without even spending a third of the money necessary. And then you can slowly start getting rid of old equipment. But the problem with that is, and we keep coming back to this one I will agree with. If you don't have the people that understand Active Directory, or you don't know what you need to do to migrate to the cloud and what should be migrated to the cloud, because let's not mince words, there are other breaches where folks actually put data on the cloud that they didn't have to put on the cloud, because nobody sat back and said, hey, let's identify all the things that should be out there on the cloud. Let's classify all of our data, what's company proprietary, what's good for public consumption, mark those things off and say, okay, public consumption stuff, it can go up to Amazon. Because guess what you don't want to do with Amazon or Microsoft? You don't want to put up 9 terabytes of data realizing that only 1 terabyte had to go up, because guess what? They're going to penalize you for bringing that data back down. They're going to make you pay extra money to bring your data back off the cloud. Unless somebody can tell me that they've changed that policy.
You're going to get charged for ingress also.
Yep. Thank you.
You're going to get charged both ways, JP. You're going to get charged.
Okay. I just want to make sure that was still what
No, you're absolutely right. Doesn't matter what platform it is, AWS, GCP, Azure, Oracle, right? Whatever it is, you're going to pay ingress and egress. So you're going to pay to put your data up there. So that 9 terabyte of data, you're going to pay for all that network traffic. And then if you have to bring 5 terabyte back, you're going to pay for that network traffic. So you're going to pay for ingress and egress.
Yeah.
Luke,
my financial model to me, and access and everything else. You can pay for everything.
It sounds like something a for-profit company would do.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Okay, just so when people are listening to this recording later on, I did not say that thing. Okay, I'm gonna get in trouble for a bunch of other stuff I'm doing, but you ain't gonna get me on that one.
You're saying a for-profit company is there to make money? I mean, their stockholders would say so.
I know it's blasphemy, but oof. What a time to be alive.
I know, right? All this cloud stuff. Oof. I'm excited. Zero trust, yes. Defense in depth.
I say bring it on. If a new buzzword is what it takes to keep it in front of mind for certain people, and I'm using air quotes when I say certain people. That's what it takes. Then okay.
Maybe to open up some budgets.
Wait a minute, hold on. You ready, Ron? You want me to go back to some buzzwords of the past?
Yes.
Bring it. What you got?
What about AI and machine learning? That
Still
was hot
here.
a couple of years ago.
Still here.
Yes,
that's still trending.
Wait a minute, hold on. Did that open up any hearts and minds? This may be important. I should pay attention to it. What about the cyber kill chain? That was hot back in 2018, 2017, where everybody's like, hey, you buy my product and that'll help you with the cyber kill chain. Remember that?
Too. Still in documentation. I see it.
It's MITRE now, right? Number one, it's the MITRE attack framework now. And number two, right, it's whatever their product is, I can't remember, the MITRE Navigator. Right, where you can go on there and you can put in, you can drop down menu and you can select APT 29, right, and then it'll tell you how they get into your network, right? Reuse passwords, things like that. So now the buzzword is, oh, hey, I can help you identify what part of the MITRE Navigator, MITRE attack framework they used to get into your system.
Does that come with the Disneyland Fast Pass, or do you have to pay for that extra?
No, but you do.
You always got to pay for that. You always got to.
Of course, that costs extra.
You always got to pay for that Flash Pass. Come on now.
Wait a minute. I thought you were supposed to get a free night at the Star Wars hotel.
Ain't nothing free in this world. Come on.
Freedom ain't free.
Oh,
You know it's
man.
free if you sit there and listen to their
Dot, dot,
presentation.
dot.
Their
Except for
timeshare
that free open
presentation.
source software they use to back up all this stuff.
Luke, I'm sorry. Go on and give the good people what they came here for. They don't need us pontificating on our smarts.
I think the roundtable forum definitely holds a lot more excitement and jest than the New Mexico Cyber Intelligence Working Group's documentation that we've got right in front of us here. That's probably a guarantee. However,
look, you can just read the paragraph and come down and keep on going paragraph and give people time to actually digest and comment.
that's true. Yeah, and we've already touched on a few of these, but our first one up here is we have our Russian attack group has been charged by the DOJ from the United States for their attacks against the energy sector.
Mm-hmm.
These individuals targeted hundreds and hundreds of energy sector computer networks between 2012 and 2018. And if you know what year it is right now, that means it took at least 4 years for somebody to get it figured out that these were the wrong people to be dealing with and believed to be employed by the Russian government. So that's also another concern based on today's current events in March 2022.
Hey, you know what I find interesting about that, Luke? I saw several articles in different news outlets that said, hey, are you concerned about the Russians may actually attack us through cybersecurity means? And I had to laugh because it's like, oh, you think that would be something new? I get you. You're a special kind of stupid.
Hey, you notice there where it says energy sector computer networks, it didn't differentiate between IT or OT. Is that on purpose? So we won't be so scared?
That's another little thing I like when some of these news things come out, because one, they say energy sector. So does that mean oil and gas? Does that mean actual energy? Does it mean nuclear? That part worries me.
Yeah.
Also, I don't see anything in any of I've seen that article before, and I didn't see anything that actually gives us details. Now, where everyone else should be worried about this is, you do understand what critical infrastructure is, right? So oil and gas and the energy companies are part of critical infrastructure. Now, if anybody online didn't know this, here you go. Oil and gas are part of critical infrastructure, and there is no compliance model that wrangles these guys in and say, hey, at bare minimum, you got to do the NIST 171 because you're critical infrastructure, even though they're supposed to be using the NIST CSF, but that's a whole nother argument that we'll have another day.
Yeah, I thought they had an ICS something in this.
Yes, they do.
Okay, you woke me up, guys.
Hey, KJ.
I have to chime in on that comment. Given the fact that I'm in the middle of writing a report for this industry, as it relates to cybersecurity, utilizing the industry itself is decided that they are going to adopt the NIST CSF maturity model framework that is supposed to align with the ISO 2700 guidelines to implement more of a cybersecurity control around the industry security, because the industry itself is behind for obvious reasons. A lot of these plants have been built well before cybersecurity even existed. So, and the cost of replacing some of the equipment and having it be more of a more high level technology from an IP perspective is slow in coming. But those power plants, energy plants that are doing so, whether regardless of what state, they are basically focused on the segmentation of their networks because of the uniqueness of these energy plants. They have to be segmented, and because of the third parties involved with this. The downfall and the weakness in all of this is how they monitor network trafficking and the plant users themselves, because they're not knowledgeable. And this is not one particular state or one particular plant. This is kind of across the industry.
Well, and let me go ahead and throw you under the bus on this one. You're a little bit late to the game. I was sitting at UTD when they originally brought everybody in for critical infrastructure, in which case it was water, oil, gas, nuclear, all sitting in the room. And what I heard was, these sons of bitches is trying to tell us how to run our organizations. I don't really like that. Okay. So in terms of me sympathizing with them, no, I don't, because this was 2016 and they were telling you, hey, maybe you want to look at the NIST CSF.
So JP, I agree with you. I don't like being thrown under the bus publicly, but I do agree.
And I'm not really throwing you under the bus.
I know, I'm just joking.
Letting the back tire kind of go roll across your legs.
I'm just joking for those who are online. I'm just kidding. But I agree with you. There is an elaborate white paper that was recently written, I think in April of 2021. And it speaks exactly to what you stated, JP, which is that the challenge is that any organization, because they're going to be requiring, which is why I'm in the middle of this assessment now, is they're going to be requiring more of this industry, the power plants, oil and gas industry, to have assessments, security assessments conducted. So I agree. They don't want you there. They don't understand the value of security when they have, what is those organs? I know for California, it's Cal OSHA, right? They have other regulatory guidelines around safety measures, but it's not safety at a level of security, network security, most importantly.
You have the NEI, what is it? NEI?
Nick, yeah. They have NERC, NEC.
Right. They have NERC, they have FERC.
And NERC performs CIP assessments, but they're not security assessments. So yeah, if anyone is going to be engaged on this call at any point in time with any of these power plants or anyone in this industry, there is going to be definitely some pushback. Because even at the high level, they don't really see and understand if they've been doing well so far, what's the need? Well, the need is that even their network architecture is antiquated, right? So there's those issues. I mean, even within this white paper, it talked about the DMZs that segment what they call is their dedicated control systems. Those dedicated control systems help make sure that power is captured, right? When there's a power outage of something, they actually store it. So even from that level, at the DMZ level, it's it's not pretty. It's not pretty. And then they have a lot of open ports in a lot of these places too. So
and a lot of this stuff is not air gap.
No, it's not.
None of it is. Let's not.
No, it's not. So, I mean, there's an opportunity for this industry, meaning cybersecurity, positioning itself that it has an opportunity to make some money. It has an opportunity to also assess. And we're all, at the end of the day, we're all end users of power and energy. So it is something in a conversation that needs to continue of how do we better position ourselves as security professionals to educate this particular industry. And you're right, those people in that room, JP, I'm sure their sentiment has not changed much since that meeting.
Do y'all have any, I mean, when you say educate, is there a way that you think would actually get through? Because they've been kind of educated at this point. I mean, would something pretty catastrophic have to happen, or they have to lose a lot of money? Like, what is their pain point in this industry?
Time out. What catastrophic has to happen that hasn't already happened?
Well, to them, to make them make some type of change so it doesn't happen again. Is there, I mean, do we know?
JP, Tiffany has a really good point. She's
Actually,
right. I mean,
and here's why.
they see
These things have already occurred.
Yeah, but
last
from
Super
their
Bowl, we had an organization, a water plant near Tampa, Florida, almost have what is the thing that they have to add to the water as part of the purification system? And the
you talk about the hydrogen.
No,
the hydrogen.
No, it's an actual water plant, but it's something they use to treat the water before it actually goes through pipes and all that good stuff. Anyway, somebody was remote controlling the desktop of the person that was on staff right then and there. And the only reason why it was stopped because he noticed the mouse moving by itself. That's it. Though that's the only reason why we're not talking about that being an event. Well,
so it didn't happen. So what would have to happen?
Listen, it did happen, and JP's right. The only reason
it happened, but it didn't affect any change.
Right. So what happens is that the guy came in there, the attacker came in there, and he increased the I think it's chloride. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, it is chloride. It is.
So he increased the chloride to an unacceptable level, right? And if anybody that knows anything about water or whatever, right? You use chloride or chlorine to make water basically drinkable, right? And there is an acceptable amount of chlorine that goes into everybody's water, everybody's. Well, those systems control that. That system was a Windows 95 system, by the way, right? And
that's bleeding edge computing there, buddy.
Right? The guy came in, and what happened was he saw the mouse moving, right? And so he called his supervisor, because their supervisors often watch their session. They will RDPN or whatever they're using, right? They will sit there and watch this person work. So he called his supervisor and said, "Hey, are you doing something?" And the supervisor was like, "No, I'm not even on your machine right now." And he's like, "So you didn't just increase the chloride?" And he's like, "No." He's like, "Yeah, we got a problem."
So they don't have alarms to go off if something goes above the recommended amount, even if you do it manually?
Yeah, so they do. Yeah.
So again, right? So again, Tiffany, it didn't really happen, because what happened was he increased it so much that alarm did go off. And when the alarm went off, that's when the guy noticed that the mouse was moving on the screen.
Okay.
And I can tell you, I mean, I just came back from a site visit. So I can tell you, you're dead on. I mean, the way they set up their monitoring system, again, regardless of what state you're in, the way they're set up their monitoring system is that one, their desktops, the software on their workstations it's old. It's not updated software. Two, you've got one person that might even turn around for a long period of time, eat, walk into another room. He's supposed to be literally hands-on monitoring this on a regular basis. And there's too many areas of risk and gap of having, right? Because it's human. It's all human monitoring. So even with the alerts, and we were on site, we had a couple of alerts that went off, and we're like, okay, so what's that? Oh, don't worry about that. That's, we're doing some alarm testing. Okay. Well, do you want to make sure that
right?
Oh yeah, but we're used to that. And he's right. I mean, they fall between the cracks because exactly.
So with that, that water hack there, do we know that they got to the actual desktop from the end user, or maybe through one of the holes that management's monitoring people from RDP sessions?
I remember they use TeamViewer. Leon, am I right saying they use TeamViewer?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Oh my
I'm pretty sure they
God.
did. I'm pretty sure they did. And essentially what happened was like KJ saying, right? They have a bunch of open holes in their DMZ and everything else. The dude came in, right? They're using TeamViewer or whatever it was, right? To monitor that person while they work. Well, this guy found an open TeamViewer server sitting on the DMZ. So he went into the TeamViewer server and queued up somebody's desktop. So because that TeamViewer session was exposed to the internet, RDP to the internet, right? Because that was exposed to the internet, he just walked right in. He literally just did a scan, saw that it was open, went in there, grabbed this guy's desktop. There you go.
Oh man. Oh wow. Oh my God.
And the sad thing is that what Leon is talking about is something that happened. How long ago did that happen, Leon?
Last year.
Okay, and I just came from a site visit recently, and it's still looking like that across the board.
There's nothing that's going to scare these people into it. There's no FUD factor when it comes to stupidity. Okay?
No.
The only solution, really, is it has to come from the top down.
He's right.
The CEO, the president, the owner of the company, whoever is in charge, needs to make it their priority and take the perspective. Like I told you earlier, Sophos was the one vendor that I've worked for that had good security. And it was because the owners, who were also the CEOs at the time, took the perspective is they're a security company. If Sophos gets hacked, then they'll immediately lose all their customers because they'll have lost trust from their customers. And they took that perspective of we have to have good security or we have no company at all. And the end result was they had good security.
And I agree with you, Kelly. It does have to start from top down, right? It absolutely does. In the case of the oil and gas sector, what it's going to take, honestly, is it's going to take that CEO losing money. And by money, I mean actual money, right? If you hit their bottom line, then they're gonna speak up. Case in point, right? You have the cost of oil, and please, JP, don't. I'm not. Again, this is not about politics or anything else. I'm just stating a fact. The cost of oil is extremely high right now. Because the cost of oil is extremely high right now, the oil and gas companies they're pissed because it's affecting their bottom line. That's the only reason that they're mad, because it's affecting their bottom line. That's it. So until something happens where, quite honestly, I don't even know if a ransomware attack is going to shock them enough.
And honestly, Leon, they've had, at least in my situation, they've had ransomware. Chosen not to pay it, which is good, but that's only because regulators had to get involved, right? It's happening, guys, and I'm glad that we're having this discussion because it's real and it's happening right now on a regular basis. If anybody has an idea, I can tell you there is a business opportunity here too. The business opportunity is that if these organizations, and they are open because they have the money to pay for it, if these organizations are open for some what would I say, redevelopment of the network infrastructure there, of course, following the guidelines of NERC, there's some opportunity for our industry to get in position where we can at least do that level of work for them, and help them understand, because it's at that level is the exposure that Leon was talking about. And it's daily.
And the saddest part about what everybody is saying right now is you know, most folks, there was a time where people heard of a breach and, oh my goodness, I can't believe that. Hey, let's check our infrastructure and let's check our security posture and make sure that we're tight. Now we're getting to the point where the only time people are concerned with it, if it hits somebody in their industry or hits somebody that they actually know that's down the road from them or things of that nature. No longer is there a FUD factor like it used to be a few years back where, hey, well, you know, I don't hear about these every day. So what Luke has been patiently trying to finish over the last couple of minutes, this is why I say what grinds my gears, because I hear from people in the industry on a regular basis. And one of the things that I always hear is, oh, well, I didn't hear about those attacks. Well, that's because you're not in cybersecurity. Unless it gets on the news or it gets on social media, people don't care. And even with some of the stuff that gets in the news, I have literally heard people saying, well, you know, from what I heard, Target was stupid, because there's a lot of misinformation that goes around. So I don't think education is going to do it, because I've been feeling like a kindergarten teacher the last 10 years of my career, telling people that these things have been going on and have people sitting back laughing and saying, that's not happening. And the worst thing that I find in IT right now, beyond the tool mindset, and I'm not even going to go into that right now, but it's this thing where it's a couple of folks that read an article and now they think they know more about IT than you. And I see this on a regular basis, just like this whole zero trust thing. The biggest reason why it bugs me so much is because now people are trying to tell you what zero trust means. And I'm not talking about the people that read their 800-207 ad nauseum. I'm talking about people with their own theories because of what that title means. Because folks think that zero trust means, oh, I don't have to do anything. Just like those same folks that thought during the migration of the cloud, oh, Amazon takes care of my network security.
JP, what do you mean they think they don't have to do anything? What is it? What are they saying?
You ready?
Yes. What is happening?
Zero trust means once I implement this tool, I don't have any work I have to do after that. The tool will take care of what it is I need to be done, and I'll be zero trust compliant.
That's a legacy mindset. Sit and forget it.
No, that's not legacy mindset. That's also a millennial mindset. That's non-IT mindset.
Because I've been in a bunch of people's networks, and that's exactly how they've been operating for 10, 20 plus years. No backups, except for the first time we implemented this thing, and no documentation. And we just add rules, you know, we open ports basically, make sure everything works.
Oh, and
now going back to reevaluate.
The no documentation thing, that's not going anywhere no time soon. That is a staple of non-IT IT people. And this has been going on for decades. This isn't like nothing new. Okay, if you have developers that don't do any documentation, what make you think you're going to get, and you already said it, Tiffany, you ain't paying some of these people enough money to sit back all day and write. And if you do pay them to sit back and write, you don't know the quality of the documentation you're going to get. And in some cases, people don't care.
Because they don't look at it when they do get it.
Oh yeah, and the best thing in the world for me is to sit back and talk with an organization that talked about how their disaster recovery plan didn't work. And my first question is, did you ever test it?
Oh, yes.
What do you mean test it?
Yes.
So let me get this straight. You got these pretty run books that tell you what you're supposed to do in the case of disaster. Well, you know, in our case, what ended up happening was the equipment didn't work because the power went out. Oh, so not only did you not have a disaster recovery plan, you didn't have a business continuity plan. And then they're sitting back, no, that's the same thing. No, it's not. Disaster recovery is when your IT is jacked up. Business continuity is everything you need to do to keep that business up and running. Two totally different concepts. They kind of cross intersect on certain parts, but they're two totally different concepts.
Man.
So it's not even security that most people are failing at. It's just IT itself.
Yeah. I think a lot of the planning part, because that's where the documentation stuff comes into play, and you have to have knowledgeable people around to make sure we're making the right business decision, because it is a business decision, like you said, and security at the same time.
Hey,
and that's hard to
you
come
want something
by.
else is even scarier? When was the last time you heard of an organization hiring a tech writer? And I know I'm a little bit older than most folks that's on here, okay? But when was the last time you heard of a tech writer in an organization? For me, it was like the early 2000s, because I didn't do anything without a tech writer, because you don't want me to type nothing, okay? Because that 150 an hour, boy, that adds up real quick when you look at my typing. And all you thinking of, can we get somebody else in here to type this? This guy is only typing about 20 words a minute. This is not good.
Yeah, I do get a little angry when they want me to write stuff.
Oh, I'll write it out. I'll record the heck out of it. You just better get somebody to type it.
I mean,
That's
type
the only way you're gonna get your return on investment. And that's another problem.
Word document.
That's another problem we have, though. Most of this stuff, people do not see the return on investment on it. Everything, people have the car insurance mentality. Well, you know, I can drive my car without insurance because nothing is going to happen to me. My driving skill is so good, I don't need insurance. Yeah, but what about that guy that's drunk?
Yeah.
That sees that the light is red and is too drunk to realize the light is red and plows and T-bones into the side of you.
Or, you know, Tiffany just, you know, singing at the top of her lungs, and she kind of gets over onto you. It's an accident. Things happen. We don't do this maliciously. All right,
that sounds like there's an admission of guilt coming out of that.
You know, I hit a lot of curbs, honestly, and I don't know why. My depth perception is kind of off.
Well, I'm short, so sometimes I don't see those curves when I'm making my turns. I don't swing out far enough. Folks.
All right, y'all, we're getting okay, it's after 3 o'clock, so
it's 3:03.
Yeah.
Does anybody have anything that they want to bring up before we lock the session down?
Not for me. You guys have a wonderful weekend.
Hey, thank you, JP. I had a question. Is there any plan to meet in person or?
Actually, Tiffany will probably be in person before I will. I've been enjoying this online because I don't have to hear people telling me, oh, you guys meet downtown Dallas. That's a little far for me, and I don't want to drive back in traffic to get back to Plano or other points of origin.
Oh, well. Yeah, we'll get something in June for sure. Even ISC Square. JP, you don't have to come. It's going to be in the same spot.
Trust me, I'm already not going to go to the event next week. I'm going to drop off all the stuff you need for the booth over the weekend and say, Tiffany, here.
Oh, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, that's
Friday, right?
Yeah, that's Friday coming. Okay. I'm going to drop all of that nice stuff off to you.
Yay.
And I want you to look, I'm going to record a message. I want you to take your phone, show people that message. I'm so sorry I could not attend this event. But my tail is worried about people not washing their hands. So y'all have fun. I'll see you at the next event.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, JP. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Yeah. Guys.
Bye, y'all.
Ta-ta.
Bye, Michael.
Take care. Thanks, everyone.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Boy, everybody just left me real quick.
Yeah. You gone?
No, I'm not going. Wait a minute. Let me stop the recording. Let's stop recording.
It's all good, man. We're just
No, because it's easier to do this to turn around and call you.